On the Track is a monthly web TV show about cryptozoology, natural history, green issues, and whatever else the team feel like making up as they go along. Enjoy!
Coming up this week.
And it was around midnight, and I suddenly had this feeling that I was being watched.
Hello everybody, my name's Hennis and welcome to another episode of On the Track. I'm a chicken, but my friend Mr. Simon from Denmark thinks that I'm a Gnostic Archon, and I don't know what that means. But you can't argue with anybody from Denmark because they've got mermaids and they make my favourite biscuits. So maybe I should be a Gnostic Archon, whatever that means.
Well, Hennis, if the secret ruler of 365 levels is indeed an anthropomorphic chicken who is mainly motivated by biscuits, I think that would explain the modern world very well.
Can I have a biscuit, please?
Of course you can, Hennis.
Tell me what's in today's episode, Mr. John.
Well, Hennis, in this week's episode we're going to take you with us on an ongoing investigation into a series of strange events that's happened in the West Country of England, in and around the city of Bath. And we're going to be interviewing the lady to whom most of this stuff has happened. Enjoy.
I really like the old credits.
Rossiter, I hear you're sending the kids away on holiday somewhere. Oh yes, the kids from the inner city, you see, from the youth outreach centre in Brixton. They don't often get out of the city, so we send them a nice holiday out abroad. And where are you going? Where are they going? Oh, they're going to Croatia. Croatia, that sounds lovely. And what they're flying in? Oh, they've been flying in a DC-10.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's John Downs. I'm the director of an organisation called the Centre for Fortean Zoology, which is the English-speaking world's largest, longest-standing, and we like to think the best mystery animal research group. And welcome to another episode of On the Track. This is a show we put out every Saturday afternoon for about half an hour, and it's augmented, if that's the right word, by a show called On the Track Extra that we put out every Wednesday evening at 6:30. And once a month, also on Wednesdays, we put out something called the Last Wednesday of the Month show, which features me and the lovely Vivian Powell, together with our panel of V. McQuinnan, Dave Scott and Ian Scribbs, together with a plethora of delicious and specially invited guests, debate, discuss, and quite often make fun of the latest news in the cryptozoological and Fortean zoological universes. So that's when they are. What are they? Well, they are a mixture, a mélange, a muddle. I think there's something else beginning with M, but I've forgotten it. Lauren, dear Miss Lauren, what begins with M?
Mum!
What?
Thank you, Miss Lauren. Thank you, Miss Helen. Yes, the two ladies are completely right. It is a mum of a show because we provide a motherload of information for people who, like us, are interested in the more esoteric realms of zoology. But what is it? Well, it's hard science, weird shit, and surreality. What's surreality? Well, go and ask them.
I had two orbs, both at my dad's. So the first one was linked to my first encounter, and then the other one was in the weekend of July 13th and 14th of last year. I was back at my dad's. We were watching, I think it was a football game, and same red orb came up. So this one was a completely different color. So I was like, okay, this is weird.
Did your dad see it as well?
This was my dad was asleep at the time, so I had gone out to get some fresh air because the house was really hot.
That's what fathers do. We sit down with our daughters, watch television, and go to sleep.
Yeah, he did that a lot. He did that an awful lot. And yeah, so I've not been in Bath probably, since he passed.
Oh, I'm sorry, my dear. I didn't realise he died.
He passed away in beginning of November of last year. So after I moved back down here 4 months ago, I've not gone back.
Did you tell him about the Bigfooty thing?
No. No one in my family know. Even though I've told all of you guys, I have not said a single word to my family because I know what they're like. I just get told I'm crazy.
No, there's nothing
I'm making it up.
Crazy. I've been crazy for years. I've been crazy since about 30 years before you were born, my dear.
So to keep the peace, I've not said anything.
Okay, you talk about the vocalisations.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more. What do they sound like?
Actually, I've got it all on my... See, this I did actually prep. I pulled it all up earlier.
Oh, you clever girl.
It's here we go. So this is the one that I recorded on July the 20th of last year. This is the one that I think started it all off, and this is the one that I played. I think you've heard this. Press play. So it's raining.
What bloody hell is that?
Yeah. Do you want me to play it again?
I have heard it, and I have absolutely no idea what could have.
And then, sorry, my phone's going weird. And then this is the second one that I got, which I recorded in. Oh, what are you doing, phone? Now my phone's having a mad moment.
You will notice, if you haven't discovered already, that when one is talking about some of this weird shit, it plays havoc with electronic stuff.
Yep. And then this is the one that I recorded at the beginning of this year. So this is recorded on the 20th of January of this year. And those are the only two that I have recorded at the moment.
As well as the noise, it was going, oh.
Yeah.
And it sounded like, what was that dripping sound?
It was raining.
Well, it sounded like it was going, ooh, drip, ooh, drip.
Yeah. So that was recorded off, and fine enough, this now this is another story that I have actually written down. So I bought myself a device recorder because I was like, let's go and put this up on Little Salisbury Hill because this is where I'm getting all, and I've had like barks and stuff, and I know the fact that they're not native animals because of the fact that I spent many years listening to native animals in England to study. And so I put it up there and recorded both of those, X amount of months apart. And before I moved back here, I went to go and collect it, and it was gone. It has vanished. I searched around thinking maybe it's like slipped off the butt. I had it sort of in a well of an old log and that was there. And I was like, maybe it's just like I put it in and, it slipped out and it's around the, on the floor, looked around the floor, looked in the log again, gone. And it's off of the track. So it's not like you have to know it's there.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And I don't know. I can't find it. And I spent probably about half an hour, 45 minutes just searching, making sure it was that exact log, and cannot find it.
You alluded to something this morning when we were chatting quickly on Messenger.
Yes.
That something happened in the New Forest. Something went running through a camp.
So as a child and a young teen with my church, once, I think it was like during the weekend, it was a long weekend with my dad would take me and my brothers, it was dads only, would take their kids to the New Forest just for the weekend. And we went every single year without fail. I think the first time I went, I was about 4 or 5 years old. And this went all the way up until I was about 12, 13. And then we had this one sort of incident. I'm a deep sleeper, so I didn't actually hear it. But after that, the next year I said, hey, are we going to go? And my dad went, nope, we're never going back.
And you have no idea what happened?
Nope. So
are you still in contact with any of the people who organised it?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, the family that we used to go along with, we've not spoken. Geez, we've probably not spoken since.
And this was what, about 10 years ago?
Yeah. Maybe slightly more.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And I just found that really weird. And like when we used to go camping there, like you used to hear bits and pieces, we're in the middle of the forest. So, you used to hear things. But as a kid, I was like, oh yeah, that's, a fox, or, you kind of, as a child, you kind of don't really, your first thought isn't, oh, that's a Bigfoot.
No, as a child. It's a fox or a deer or...
Yeah. But then as I kind of got older and like now looking back, I'm like, okay, that could be, a Bigfoot or something else.
Because I know that you are a qualified zookeeper.
Yes.
I think it's fairly obvious by now that what we're talking about can't be described in purely zoological terms of reference.
No. Especially not British animals or anything, to be fair, because I've done, I'm specialised in big cats. So I spent, again, a large chunk of my time listening to vocalisations and other things to do with big cats and bears, and it's nothing like that. And you've heard the vocalisations, they don't sound like anything like that.
They don't sound like anything. I mean, no, they sound like something, but they don't sound like anything I can recognise.
Yeah.
Did you ever come across any of your local big cats? Because I know there are big cat sightings all over the area.
So I volunteered in a zoo in Devon, in North Devon, and called Martin Wildlife and Dinosaur. I was there for 3-4 months. And you know, being surrounded by big cats, you know the direction of the zoo. And a couple of times I've heard it in the complete opposite direction. But again, my brain's like, okay, yeah, my brain's just having a mad moment because I've been listening to it all day.
No. What was it? The coughing of a leopard.
Yeah.
I tell you, when that happened to me, I was at an owl sanctuary of all places
Okay.
in Rutland.
Okay.
And I was there with my wife and my mother-in-law. And I know what leopard's coughing sounds like. I don't know if there's a proper term for it apart from coughing, but you know the noise I mean. I heard those clearly. And my wife, Karina, told me I was being stupid. And then my mother told me I was being stupid. And 3 months later, it was in the newspaper that they're opening their new leopard exhibit. And they'd had them in the woods, in cages, what's the word? Quarantining.
Yeah.
Quarantining before they were allowed to see the public. So this stuff happens.
Yeah.
And
but this sounded so far from where we would keep them. And further up, you had the other bigger zoo. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, which is further up. Exmoor. But even that, you have to go past Martin's Wildlife and Dinosaur in order to even get there from the direction that I was.
Yeah.
So I was further down. And like I said, it was coming from the complete opposite direction, which sounded completely like it was on the moorland. I never went onto the moorland because I was just busy volunteering and doing other things. A part of me wishes I did, but then it's not safe to be going wandering around Exmoor on your own.
No.
I never.
Well, and then, again, I'm not being sexist, but I strongly recommend you don't.
Yeah.
And safety. I strongly recommend anybody, male or female, they don't go by themselves.
Definitely not into Exmoor.
No, not because I think you're going to be jumped upon by a primeval hairy Bigfoot.
Or a big cat.
Or a big cat. But these places aren't safe to go out by yourself. And unfortunately, whereas when I was a boy, you still could in most of these places, these days, Britain is so overcrowded and there are so many more social problems that I really wouldn't recommend it to anyone. No. But we're digressing. Going back to your Bigfoot sightings, I'm using the word Bigfoot, and because what you saw was obviously not a Bigfoot, because there are no Bigfoot in Britain. That would be a ridiculous thing to be. Your Woodrose sighting or whatever it was. Do you know, did anybody else in that area see these things or anything like it?
So, no other sightings from what I have been told, but I spoke to a number of farmers who have livestock in that area, and sheep have gone missing without traces in both where my dad was living and where I was living in Bath Easton, multiple times. And we're not talking about lambs, we're talking about full-sized adult sheep, which if anyone has seen an adult sheep, they're not small.
No. I had one living with me for a while through actions. One of my daughters found a lamb stuck in a stream, rescued it, and because we're vegetarians, I decided I couldn't give it back to be slaughtered, so we nicked it. And it was living with me in a little suburban house for about 3 months. And that was only half grown when I managed to find another home for it. But again, that's digressing. So, what's the latest that's happened to you? And we have 6 minutes left.
Oh, geez. Nothing really, because I haven't really gone out for a while to really look at the New Forest or the nature reserve that's the other side of me. I will probably end up doing that now, probably more into the new year when it gets a little bit less wet and more dry again, because that's when I prefer to do it, and that's where I've always had sort of the best sort of encounters, is being sort of either really sort of early January or sort of middle of the year.
Do you have a trail camera or more than
No,
one? Do you?
no.
Okay, would you, once you've scoped out some places, would you like me to deploy some of our trail cameras with you?
That would be amazing.
That's why, basically, I buy them whenever they're cheap.
Mm.
And whereas my first trail cameras cost nearly 200 quid each, you
Ooh.
can pick them up now for under 30 quid. They're
Okay.
not as good quality, but it doesn't matter. They're good enough to be able to show what the image is of. And
Yeah.
as every image we've picked up so far on them has been a bat or a fox or a deer. Once we got what I thought was a penguin, but it was a great spotted woodpecker peering round the side of a tree.
Okay, fair enough. I was
And
about to say
one,
a penguin in England. No,
no,
that's interesting unless it's run away from the zoo.
no, it was a great spotted woodpecker, but it looked just like a penguin. And once we got a fat young lady relieving herself behind a bush.
Oh, lovely.
Again, so boys and girls, if you have to answer a call of nature, do have a look and see, make sure there are no trail cameras in the area.
Yes, because there's
That is
people
the end
like
of my,
us who will be going off the beaten track to put cameras up.
that is the end of that public service announcement.
Yes.
So, when was the most recent?
Well, that second vocalization that I played was
That was
in January of
January
this year.
this year. So, have you got a job in a zoo now?
No,
You're
still looking.
still looking.
Yeah.
Are you trying to get one in one of the West Country zoos, or are you
At this
looking
point,
inward?
any. I'm still not working at all, so trying to get a job at the moment has been why I've been so busy for the last 4 and a bit months.
I can understand that, and I think it's great. I think it's fantastic that you've got yourself qualified in such an interesting and useful profession, because these days so many people I know have got degrees in idiotic things that you're never going to be. I mean, what are you going to do with a degree in aromatherapy, for God's sake?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh,
So
it's a sort of hippie thing where they can cure your psyche by making you smell different sorts of perfume.
oh,
Yes. Now I may
okay.
be an old hippie, but I think that stuff's nonsense. So,
Yeah. That's a bit of a weird one.
so you're not going to do anything now until January.
Unless I hear anything else.
But if
No,
you do, for goodness sake, call me.
I will do. I will do.
What I am going to get Gwyn's my assistant, by the way. I can't remember if I've ever introduced you. I'll get Gwyn to do a Freedom of Information Act request to find out why that nature reserve was closed, when it was closed, for how long and why.
Okay. That'll be
And I
interesting.
will then, how far away from where you are now is it?
Oh geez, it's at least 2 hours on the train plus. Because I'm now all the way down south. But I'm more than happy to jump on a train and scoot back up.
Because I was thinking what I will do is I will see if I can get permission to put up trail cameras.
That'd be interesting, especially not just the reserve, but if we can get maybe one onto Little Salisbury Hill, that would be very interesting, because that's where I kind of was chased back down once, which was terrifying.
You haven't told me about this.
I did. I have messaged you about.
Yeah, but you haven't told me today, have you? Girls. So tell me about being chased down Little Salisbury Hill, and we now have less than a minute left. We're going to have to leave it and do that next time. So boys and girls, tune in, because we're going to have to do some more of this.
Part 2?
The new year, there will be a part 2.
Yes.
Thank you, Romy, my dear, and I look forward to hearing about the next stage of the story, and we'll wait and see what happens. Dear Guinevere did make a Freedom of Information Act request, and the Nature Reserve got back to us claiming that the reason they were closed to the public and that people who strayed onto the reserve were asked kindly and firmly to leave was not for anything sinister. It was because of the essential repairs going on at the time for health and safety reasons. I bet that's what they say at Area 51. Okay, I'm only kidding. I don't honestly think there's a crashed UFO there.
If you want to support us and help us make more content like these, please press like, subscribe, follow our Facebook page, and check out our Patreon.
And as the ghost of Joe Strummer, who's an ever more regular visitor to my little studio, says, don't forget to ring the notification bell, otherwise you'll miss the new episodes. And that would be an awful pity, wouldn't it?
If you've been affected by any of the topics in today's episode, you can just bugger off, because we don't give a monkeys. Bloody well get a grip. Sort your own bloody problems out rather than ringing up somewhere.
That was a public information film.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to say a big, big thank you to Romy, my special guest this week and last week, and to the lovely Guinevere, who carried out the Freedom of Information Act requests on Romy's behalf. I also want to say a big thank you to all the people but for whom the show couldn't go out, particularly Richard Freeman, V. McCrinnan, Graham Inglis, and my producer Louis, who is currently gallivanting around the southern states of America pretending to be Truman Capote. I'm going to be back next Saturday. What are we doing next Saturday? Well, a week or so ago, there was the Weird Weekend North Film Festival, and one of the films shown was by me, and it was a film called Eaten Alive, or in full I think I'd called it, in which the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology gets eaten alive. And because it already had its world premiere, I'm going to show it as next weekend's episode of On the Track. So I think you'll enjoy it, but if you've got a weak stomach, I warn you, there are maggots and some medical procedures in it. Nothing that made me sick, and it was the medical procedures was taking place on my foot, but I think I should probably have warned you that. I'm going to be back on Wednesday, but I have no idea what we're doing on Wednesday. So, on Saturday, I'll be back with a film full of maggots. And don't think it's too serious, because Richard and me mess about in it, and there are animations and a song. And the song's by Richard, who, as you all know, can't sing. So this will be unmissable. Now, That's what I call real family entertainment. Now, are you ready, Mr. McCrinnan? Because, Mr. McCrinnan, are you going to be watching next week's show? Because if you are, Mr. McCrinnan, I'm going to be there doing all the stuff I do. I'll be doing the live chat, the notifications, the emails, and the social media posts. And then probably after the show I'll be going to sleep. So if I'm there, Mr. McCrinnan, and you're there doing what you do, Mr. McCrinnan, then I will most definitely be seeing you.